Why do we often find ourselves stuck, unable to reach our full potential? In the pursuit of personal growth, it's essential to recognize that the journey is often hampered not just by external obstacles, but by internal ones as well. The ancient Stoics, with their profound insights into human nature, identified several internal enemies that can derail us from our path to self-improvement. These adversaries are not tangible foes, but are rather traits and habits embedded within us. They stealthily undermine our efforts to evolve and achieve a more fulfilling life. Stoicism teaches us that awareness of these enemies is the first step towards empowerment. By understanding what holds us back, we can strategize effectively to conquer these internal barriers. Each enemy, whether it be desire, fear, anger, or ego, has its own unique way of stifling our growth. Addressing them requires not just fleeting attempts, but a dedicated, ongoing effort to reflect, understand, and adapt. Let's dive into the wisdom of Stoicism to uncover these hidden adversaries. Desire often appears as a friend, promising happiness, but leaving us unfulfilled. In the philosophy of Stoicism, desire is viewed not as a path to satisfaction, but as a diversion from our true objectives. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Freedom is not procured by a full enjoyment of what is desired, but by controlling the desire." This profound insight suggests that real liberation comes from mastering our wants rather than succumbing to them. Consider the modern epidemic of consumerism. It's a vivid illustration of how excessive desire can lead to a cycle of perpetual dissatisfaction. The promise of happiness through the acquisition of the latest gadget, fashion, or car is tantalizing, yet this happiness is invariably fleeting. The initial thrill wears off, and the desire simply resets, targeting the next must-have item, leaving a trail of discontent and emptiness. Control desire, and you command your destiny. What would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? This thought-provoking question reveals how often fear governs our choices. Fear, particularly the dread of failure, can be a formidable barrier, freezing us in our tracks and blinding us to our potential. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once noted, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Indeed, the anticipation of failure can be more paralyzing than failure itself. Consider the common fear of public speaking. Many avoid it, haunted by visions of embarrassment and judgment. Yet, those who confront this fear step by step often discover that the imagined disasters rarely materialize. Instead, they develop resilience and confidence through exposure, gradually diminishing their fear. Embracing this approach doesn't just mitigate fear, it transforms it. By facing our fears, we chip away at their power over us, turning them into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. Mastering fear sets you free to explore new horizons. Anger is a thief who steals your peace of mind. Anger, in its raw and unchecked form, can hijack our logic and reason, transforming a moment of irritation into a lifetime of regret. It's a potent force that distorts our perspective, making mountains out of molehills and adversaries out of allies. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, once wisely stated, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" This insight reveals a profound truth. The aftermath of anger often outweighs its triggers, and the damage it causes can be extensive and long-lasting. Imagine a typical workplace scenario. A manager lashes out in anger over an unmet deadline, berating the team harshly. This not only dampens morale, but could also lead to high staff turnover, loss of respect, and a toxic work environment. The initial issue of the deadline could have been addressed with calm communication, thereby preserving relationships and productivity. Calmness is the cradle of power. The ego often writes checks that reality cannot cash. In the grand theater of life, ego plays a leading role, often overshadowing the true narrative of our capabilities and the talents of those around us. It's a master of deception, painting an inflated image of self that obscures our view, not just of our limitations, but also of the opportunities for growth that lie in acknowledging them. Epictetus, a sage of Stoicism, once remarked, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This profound observation highlights the barrier ego erects against personal development. By believing we know it all, we shut the door on the wisdom waiting just beyond our complacency. Consider the tale of a once celebrated business leader whose company faced ruin, his downfall, an unbridled ego. He dismissed critical feedback and overestimated his strategies, leading to decisions that were not grounded in reality. His story serves as a cautionary tale that when ego drives, failure often rides shotgun. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. Comfort zones are most often expanded through discomfort. In the pursuit of personal growth, comfort can often be a deceptive enemy. It's a seductive trap that whispers sweet lullabies of ease and safety, luring us into a state of stagnation. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once pointed out, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." This suggests that our greatest challenges often stem not from the external difficulties themselves, but from our internal reluctance to step out of our comfort zones. Consider the story of Amelia, an aspiring writer who spent years dreaming about publishing her novel. It was only when she embraced the discomfort of rejection and criticism, pushing past her comfort zone, that she finally achieved her breakthrough, leading to her bestseller. Amelia's journey exemplifies that true growth requires us to confront and move beyond the familiar and the comfortable. Growth begins at the end of your comfort zone. Procrastination is the grave in which opportunity is buried. In the quiet corners of our minds, procrastination whispers, urging us to delay the very actions that drive us towards our potential. This silent saboteur not only delays our progress, but also dims the bright possibilities of what we might achieve. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wisely cautioned, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to throw away. Death stands at your elbow." His words remind us that time is a non-renewable resource, a treasure we often squander. Consider the story of Eleanor, a writer who dreamed of publishing her first novel. For years, she succumbed to procrastination, convincing herself she had plenty of time. It wasn't until she faced a serious health scare that Eleanor realized her years were finite. This jolt spurred her into action, and within a year, she had not only written her novel, but secured a publisher. Her story is a powerful testament to what can be achieved when we shake off the shackles of delay. Act now, for time waits for no one. Ignorance is not just a lack of knowledge, but a refusal to acquire it. In the context of Stoicism, ignorance transcends mere unawareness. It embodies a deliberate disregard for the inherent wisdom of nature and the experiences that life offers. Stoics believe that understanding and aligning with these natural laws is essential for personal growth and freedom. Epictetus, a sage of Stoicism, once stated, "Only the educated are free." This profound observation highlights that true liberation comes not from external acquisitions, but from internal enlightenment. Consider the story of a mid-career professional who felt stagnated and unfulfilled. Instead of surrendering to inertia, they chose to embrace lifelong learning, diving into books, online courses, and workshops. This journey of self-education not only transformed their skill set, but also pivoted their career path towards more rewarding opportunities, illustrating the transformative power of knowledge. Knowledge is the wing upon which we fly to heaven. Now that we know our enemies, how do we arm ourselves against them? Let's embark on a journey to disarm these adversaries one by one, using the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Each enemy of personal growth presents a unique challenge, and each requires a specific strategy to overcome. First, we encounter desire. This insatiable longing for what we don't have can derail our contentment. The Stoic counters desire with the practice of gratitude and mindfulness, focusing on what is present and minimizing the longing for what is absent. Next is fear, that paralyzing force that threatens to hold us back from our potential. To combat fear, Stoics cultivate courage and rational thinking. They ask, what's the worst that could happen? And often find that the fear is not as powerful as it seems. Anger, the third enemy, can consume us with its fiery grip. Stoics recommend reflecting before reacting, allowing space between stimulus and response, thus choosing reason over rage. Our fourth adversary is ego, which can blind us with its arrogance. Stoicism teaches humility and the understanding that we are part of a larger universe, where everyone is interconnected and interdependent. Comfort, the subtle fifth enemy, makes us complacent and resistant to growth. Stoics break this comfort by setting challenging goals and stepping out of their comfort zones, thereby embracing continuous improvement. Procrastination, our sixth enemy, steals time and dilutes our resolve. Stoics tackle this by prioritizing their duties and embracing the mantra of doing it now rather than later, fostering a discipline of immediate action. Lastly, ignorance, the seventh enemy, limits our understanding and perspective. Stoicism promotes lifelong learning and the pursuit of wisdom, urging us to question, explore, and expand our horizons. In overcoming these enemies, the cultivation of self-awareness is crucial. It involves recognizing these foes within us and observing their influence on our thoughts and actions. With discipline, we can then apply Stoic principles to not only resist these enemies, but to turn them into catalysts for growth. Embrace the wisdom of Stoicism and transform these enemies into stepping stones for personal growth. Embrace Stoicism, and you will discover a path to true success that has stood the test of time.